If you've owned Virgin Galactic over the past month, you've seen its value decline by over 40% over the past 5 weeks. And unfortunately, it may not have hit the bottom yet. In this video, I'm going to be analyzing Virgin Galactic from 3 angles. First, as a traditional investor, looking at how much I think the stock could appreciate in the short term. Next, taking a first principles approach like that advocated by Elon Musk, and try to decide if this company will be successful at some point in the future. And lastly, looking at what some prominent investors, including Cathie Wood and Chamath Palihapitiya, think about the stock. And make sure to stick around till the end of the video to see whether or not I personally decide to invest in the company. So hit the like button and subscribe if you want, and let's dive right in. So the first angle I'm going to use is looking at this company like I would any other investment on my channel. I'm going to look at how fast they're growing, what potential their products have, and what the chances are that the company could be worth twice or even 10 times as much 5 years from now as they are today. So first off, Virgin Galactic is a company founded by philanthropist and billionaire entrepreneur Richard Branson. Their goal is to create spacecraft that can first operate as a form of space tourism, taking wealthy patrons up to space for a price of $200,000 a ticket. And they have had some early interest in this idea, with over $80 million in deposits, which would equate to $120 million if everybody actually uses their tickets. Now, while that is a lot of money, it's not by itself enough to justify Virgin Galactic's current market cap, which even after their recent drop in the stock price is still at $7.6 billion. If we were to just look at Virgin Galactic like a completely normal company that was not growing at all, we would expect them to have a market cap of around 15 times their net profit. Now, currently they don't have any profits because they're investing all their money in growth, but if we take that $120 million that they have so far and assume that they could somehow manage to make this same amount every single year going forward, we would expect the company to be worth around $1.8 billion. Now, unfortunately, there are some pretty big assumptions there. For example, Virgin Galactic's earnings are not yet consistent. In fact, they've been dropping over time. They earned $1 million in the quarter of March 2019, and then that dropped to $529,000 in December of 2019, dropping further to $238,000 in March of 2020, and dropping all the way to $0 in all their subsequent quarters. Now, that's obviously not a positive sign for the stock, but it's also not the end-all be-all of the company. After all, this is a company that's still working on perfecting their product, and once they actually launch a working space tourism business, I have no doubt that their billings are going to jump up dramatically. So if everything goes according to plan and Virgin Galactic is able to sell $500 million in tickets every single year consistently, that would put their valuation at where they are today, $7.6 billion. But will things go according to plan? Can Virgin Galactic defy expectations and build a profitable space company the same way Elon Musk has in the past? Well, I think we should look to Elon Musk's words for guidance on how to think about this issue.
I think it's also important to reason from first principles rather than by analogy. So the normal way that we conduct our lives is we reason by analogy. We're doing this because it's like something else that was done, or it's like what other people are doing. But first principles is kind of a physics way of looking at the world, and what that really means is you kind of boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, okay, what are we sure is true, or as sure as possible is true, and then reason up from there.
So rather than thinking Virgin Galactic could be the next SpaceX, let's instead focus on what we know about the company. We know they need to improve their technology in order to have a product. We know there's going to be competition in the space market. We know Virgin Galactic will need to capture additional market share in order to justify its valuation. So kind of distilling those 3 facts into a single question, what is the likelihood that Virgin Galactic can build a better product than their competitors in order to capture market share in the space market? Well, I think Virgin Galactic has one major thing holding them back in this area. They don't know how to build things. Now, I'm not just saying that to be mean, to imply that they have bad engineers or designers or something. No, what I'm saying is they don't have engineers working to design new spacecraft at all. So Virgin Galactic owns 2 spacecraft so far, Spaceship Two and White Knight 2. Spaceship Two is designed kind of like a traditional aircraft that you might see on Earth, except it's designed to be able to fly all the way into outer space. White Knight 2 is very similar, except it can also be used for in-air launches where it can launch a payload. And yes, Virgin Galactic does own both of these aircraft, but they did not design them. That work was done by a company called Scaled Composites, who designed the aircraft, and then that design was acquired by Virgin Galactic. Scaled Composites as a company, along with their entire design team, was later acquired by Northrop Grumman, which is another company that is competing in the space market and has been completing government contracts for several years now. So not only did Virgin Galactic not own the actual engineering and design expertise, but that expertise was actually bought by a large competitor. Compare this to some of the other large billionaire-backed space companies, including Blue Origin and of course SpaceX. Blue Origin has a massive development facility in Corn Ranch in West Texas, where they design space components both for their own craft as well as for other companies. For example, one of Blue Origin's engines is used as the first stage in a new booster designed by the United Launch Alliance. And we've all seen the incredible technical prowess of SpaceX's engineering team, which has successfully launched and landed their 3 million pound Falcon Heavy rocket. So even if Virgin Galactic is able to go ahead and start sending people to space as a form of space tourism, they lack the technical expertise in order to expand into other areas of the space market as easily as companies like Blue Origin or SpaceX. And it's these other areas of the market that I think are going to be vastly more profitable and probably a lot more competitive. The fact is, they have never successfully designed or built a spacecraft. Their competitors have. But there's one more angle we should look at with Virgin Galactic before passing judgment on the company, and that's looking at where the smart money is. Now, I'm not saying that you should just base your investments off of what somebody else is doing, but if you already have a thesis for a company, it can be kind of nice to look at other people to see what their thoughts are on the same company. So let's first look at Chamath Palihapitiya. Chamath, for those of you who don't know, heads Social Capital, which is a large fund who's focused on investing in growth areas like climate change and AI. He's actually a really good speaker, and I highly recommend looking up a podcast or something that has him in it, but do that after the video. The most important thing to know about Chamath in this case is that he is also the chairman of Virgin Galactic after taking it public in a SPAC back in 2019. A SPAC is basically just an alternative way to IPO a company where instead of going through a bank, you make a smaller company public first and then that small company acquires the larger company. This gets around a lot of the hurdles that you normally have to go through in order to bring a company to the public. Well, in the first week of March, Chamath sold his entire personal stake in Virgin Galactic, worth $213 million. Though his fund Social Capital does still hold around $500 million in the stock. Now, Chamath did not say that he was selling the stock because he no longer believed in the company, but instead to free up some capital in order to invest in a climate change opportunity. So Chamath is saying that he still believes in the company, but his actions seem to show differently. If we look at all the different stock positions that Chamath owns, he was most willing to sell this $213 million stake in Virgin Galactic. I'm a firm believer that actions speak louder than words, and with this action, Chamath has clearly shown that he thinks that Virgin Galactic is either not going to be as profitable or as impactful as other companies that he's already investing in. And remember, he is the chairman of the company, someone who would have enormous upside if Virgin Galactic actually took off and became a huge success. The next investor we need to look at is Cathie Wood. Partly because her ARK funds are one of the biggest proponents of Virgin Galactic, and partly because the YouTube algorithm absolutely loves her. Cathie Wood runs the ARK investment funds, which focus mainly on disruptive technologies. Some of her biggest wins over the past year include Tesla and Roku. She has also had a very sizable investment in Virgin Galactic, and she's been extremely bullish on the space market in general. In fact, she is so bullish on this market that she recently decided to launch a space ETF focused exclusively on space companies. When she made this announcement, Virgin Galactic immediately shot up in value because everybody assumed that Virgin Galactic was going to be added to this ETF, which makes sense because it's one of the few companies that's purely focused on the space market while also being public. Her investments in Virgin Galactic have actually been dropping, however. If we look at Wood's holdings across all of her ARK investment funds, her investments in Virgin Galactic peaked back in January and they dropped all throughout February. She did buy back a few shares in early March, but she's still not back to the same level she had in January, which seems to imply she's not quite as bullish on this stock as maybe some other investments that she has. I also think it's really interesting to look at some of her comments around the space market in general.
On the technology side, we see SpaceX and Blue Origin pushing the envelope. So costs are coming down and the technologies are finally ready.
She also often talks about how impressed she is with the work that Elon Musk has been doing at SpaceX.
I think the reusable rocket that Elon, many people were saying, why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? Of course, now we know the only way he's going to be able to get to Mars, or whoever the first people are, we are going to need reusable rockets to do that.
Again, like we talked about earlier, she really seems to believe in the quality of these private companies like Blue Origin and SpaceX, which may one day be Virgin Galactic's competitors. It almost sounds like if she could, she would much rather be investing in these companies as opposed to Virgin Galactic. Now, it's unfortunate that these other companies are private, so we don't have that opportunity, but personally, I'm looking forward to Elon Musk's Starlink IPO, where they launched a whole constellation of satellites in order to broadcast internet all over the world, but that's a little bit off topic. The point is, in the past, Cathie Wood and Chamath have been some of the biggest proponents of Virgin Galactic, but from the trades they have been making recently, they seem at best to be lukewarm on the company's future. So do you think that Virgin Galactic can succeed as a space tourist company? Do you think that they'll pursue any opportunity beyond that in the future? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.